effective clones with desirable mutations. They call themselves the Bad Batch.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And you just heard the Bad Batch themed intro for the Empire Radio Podcast. And that means that we are going to be covering anything related to the Bad Batch. And luckily for us, and luckily for you, the listener, we are actually going to be covering something very fun. Something that we started last week. And if you don't know what that is, Jeremiah, our lovely Jeremiah, decided that it started as a passing joke almost, but he decided he was going to write a fan fiction for his version of a live action Bad Batch television series in the case that he won the lottery and had $500 million to spare.
Yep.
So it started as a joke. He kind of mentioned it a few weeks ago in an episode, just in passing, and then he did it, and he surprised us because based on what I heard last week, the rest of this is going to be really good. He did a good job. We covered the episodes 1 through 3 last week. So 2 really quick things before we begin. 1, if you haven't listened to it, you need to stop because you're not going to have any context for this episode. There's going to be no context and you're going to be really confused. So 1, you should probably stop after I explain the second point. And the second point is you just need to go listen to it if you haven't, regardless, because it's really good. Jeremiah's surprised sounds a little negative, but I was very pleasantly surprised, at least. Like I knew you had it in you. But he surprised us with a really good story spanning the first 3 episodes last week. So it's worth a listen if you haven't listened to it, and you really should regardless. Because you're going to have no idea what's going on. But really quickly, 2 quick things, news-wise. There's not very much going on Star Wars related right now because of the pandemic and everything else is falling apart in the world and the fact that everything is delayed. But Drew's going to talk about something in a second that is actually official, but in unofficial Expanded Universe news, because that's kind of my thing, I guess, at this point. I'm about 90% of the way through a new audiobook that I'm listening to with the Libby app, not a sponsor. But if you wanted to sponsor us, we would very much appreciate it. But it's called Red Harvest. It's another, I've talked about Death Troopers on here before. It's like a Star Wars zombie thing. Well, this is another Star Wars zombie story, but it takes place in the Old Republic on the homeworld and inside of a Sith Academy. So it's really interesting. It's like your classic zombie story, but if the people trying to fight back were Force users. It's really fascinating. So highly recommend that. And then Drew, what was the news that you have for us?
Yeah, so in more Star Wars fun, crazy news, I think over the weekend, I don't know the exact date. I've been kind of in and out of town for the last 2 weeks, so it could have happened while I was doing that too. But there is a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Awakens tour on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus and you haven't looked at it because not any new Star Wars stuff has come out, and honestly, like, there's not a whole much you can do on there except watch Star Wars stuff. So, at least for me. So, but yeah, so I saw that this is on there. It's like an hour and 15-minute long, like, tour of Galaxy's Edge. And I don't know if it was recorded, like, recently and they made it seem like it was old, or it could be old, but, like, Neil Patrick Harris is the main host and, like, the guy who's taking this tour, and like the guy who designed Galaxy's Edge like shows him through it, and then he has like guest stars like the girl who is the main girl from Big Bang Theory. I don't know her name off the top of my head.
Kaylee Kuko.
Yeah, she's like in it, and then there's a lot of other random actors in it. But then like the cast of Rise of Skywalker explains their first experience going to it. So it's really, really fun. I'm like 30 minutes into it, and like it's not that I got bored. It's just I had other things to do, but it is something I want to check out. Like I was just at Galaxy's Edge last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. No, last week still. It's like a little bit over a week. I was just there, and so like it's really cool because I'm gonna kind of relive it again. But if you've already been there, I recommend watching it to kind of get your feels and like that itch of going back kind of fulfilled. But if you've never gone, I don't know if I would recommend it because it's very spoilerly. Like they kind of go through the whole thing. It seems like they're gonna literally experience everything at Galaxy's Edge. So maybe not do it, but
Yeah, I have not been to Galaxy's Edge, and I still really want to go. And
yeah,
like specifically build a lightsaber. Like that's the goal. I want to go, and
yes.
so
Don't go now because during the pandemic, you cannot build your lightsaber right now. That is closed.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was there 2 weeks ago, and I could talk an hour about my experience and how different it was compared to when I first went. But
yeah, I probably won't watch it because I just don't want to spoil the magic for myself.
Yeah, I would recommend Andrew or any listener, like if you haven't gone but you want to go, I would recommend holding out a little bit until this whole COVID thing, because this is not Galaxy Edge's best performance. Like there's a lot of things you can't do compared to when I first went. And like the actors are there like chewing them, but they're kind of up high, and it's like you have to order everything on your phone for food. Like you can't just go get blue milk like at the milk stand. You have to order it on your phone and then get in line to go get it because they don't want like, I don't know. I don't really understand that part. I don't want to rant, but like you could go and buy normal merch like normally by just going up in line. You wait in line, obviously, for your turn, and then you can go through the shop and grab what you want and then check out. But for the milk, you had to do it on a phone, get your waiting time, and then go get it. But you could get it like from like 10 minutes to like 3 hours later if you wanted. But it's to like kind of be more like safe. But I thought it was really stupid because it wasn't any more dangerous than actually just being there. You know,
Yeah,
like
it sounds
it's not like a restaurant.
Sounds like
It was
you're a little
weird.
heated, man.
I did not. That was the one part I did not enjoy, that part, because I wanted my blue milk and I did not want to have to download the app to get my blue milk. But besides that, it was fine. It was safer than a lot of places I've been during COVID, to say the least.
But still don't go. I would just suggest waiting.
Not for your first time. If you've done it before, it's super cheap to go right now, so maybe. But if you haven't done it, I would not recommend going in for the first time. So Andrew, wait. Just wait.
Oh, well, I don't have the money right now anyways. But what I do have is my fancy TIE Fighter flyby sound effect that I'm about to use to segue us into episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Jeremiah's fan fiction.
Jeremiah's Mind.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Look, don't knock the TIE Fighter sound. Okay.
It's just funny every single time.
We need like a Bad Batch sound now.
Yeah, I actually thought about that the second I hit the button, so I'll work on that too. But Jeremiah, why don't you start us off by giving like the briefest summary you can?
Okay, so
you know
episode
how they have like on TV shows is like previously on.
Yes.
Blah 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 blah. Blah. Yeah,
I've watched TV before. Yeah.
We were wondering, but now
okay.
we're not wondering.
Okay, so episode 1, Bad Batch. They're on a mission to assassinate a separatist leader. Blah blah blah. Echo, he overhears some separatist transmissions while he's hacked into a communications, whatever, and there's reports that Jedi or I should say, clones are on many fronts. Battlefronts are in retreat, and they're running away from the battles and ending battles. Many Jedi are being found dead, and reports that clones have been turning on Jedi. So they're super confused. Blah blah blah. But anyway, they continue on their mission. They assassinate the leader, and they go back to base, and we find out that Tarkin is actually their main commander of all their missions. And he says, "Okay, guys, the war's over." And the Bad Batch's like, "What? That doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean?" And so then up pops a hologram of Palpatine giving them Order 66, and all 5 submit to Order 66. And so that was the first episode. Second episode, it's the Bad Batch. They are in training to fight Jedi, the hunt and track down Jedi. They're a highly elite Jedi killing team, and they're in a early Purge Trooper program. And Purge Troopers are from Jedi Fallen Order, the video game, and they're troopers that were trained specifically to fight Jedi. So they become an elite like Purge Trooper force in a sense that lead other Jedi to find and hunt Jedi, and they're the best at killing and hunting Jedi. So anyway, we get to a point where they're on a large scale mission where there's 5 Jedi on one planet that have been tracked, and so like 500 clones are sent to this to hunt them all down. And in that, Echo has a lot of issues with his performance and a lot of confusion and discomfort. And he has a chance to kill a Jedi, and he doesn't. He hesitates and doesn't kill the Jedi, and then other Jedi other clones come in with the Bad Batch, and they end up killing the Jedi. So, but during that mission, Echo, he finds a transmission that was encrypted. I should say they're also on a former Techno Union controlled planet, and so they're on the planet. He finds this encrypted message that's on a loop, and he doesn't know what it is. So he has to like go back to camp or base to unlock it. But so that's the second episode. Third episode, this was like a really long episode. So basically, the message that he finds was actually a message from Rex saying that the war and Order 66 was not what it seemed, and that there's a secret that Fives discovered. And Rex is like, "Find me on this nearby moon, blah, blah, blah." So Echo and Bad Batch, they go find him on this moon, and Rex captures them and basically removes their chips.
Dun, dun, dun.
Or I should. Well, actually, that's getting ahead of the thing. The episode ends with him and his other clone stunning the other, the Bad Batch.
I was gonna say, I mean, like we knew it was gonna happen,
Right?
But like you left us on a pretty bad cliffhanger with the stun move. So,
yep.
All right.
So
now
episodes
we're 4, 5, and 6. Here we go.
Okay. So episode 4 is entitled "Forced Choice."
Oh.
And so it starts up with Echo. He's waking up from the surgery, and when he's waking up, it's kind of like he's waking up and looking around the room and seeing what's going on, and he actually sees Wrecker. He's actually in the surgery chamber in the medical area, and so he sees Wrecker in the machine having surgery, and so he sees all the other members of the Bad Batch going through surgery, and when the original 4 Bad Batch are waking up, they're totally the same. Like they're still angry, they're still mad, blah blah blah, like mad at Rex, like why are you what did you do to us? Like you're lying. What's going on? You're still like you're a traitor, Rex. We're gonna if we can we're gonna kill you. Blah blah blah. And so now just a refresher from last episode. It's probably gonna take they calculated that it's gonna take like 12 hours for the Bad Batch to fully have the effects of the chip uh, dissipate, because it's going to take time for the effects of the chip to wear off after it's been removed. So now there's just so they're all chained up, they're all
Really
locked
quickly,
up. Yeah.
Jeremiah, for those of our listeners who might have forgotten that part from last week, why would it take 12 hours for them?
So Rex, with his other clones that he has woken up, he has 4 other that are there with him that have removed their chips. They discovered that for every month that passes that after Order 66, it takes about 2 hours after the chip to be removed for the effects of Order 66 to dissipate, because they develop a second personality from the biochip, and so that second personality takes over their mind and they can't think for themselves. So every 2 months every month adds 2 hours. So they're about 6 months after Order 66. So it's going to take about 12 hours for the effects of the biochip to wear off after it's been removed.
That's so long.
Yeah. And also after 2 years, they kind of are guessing that even if the biochip is removed, no clone would wake up to their original personality. So
After 2 years, you said?
2 years, that the effects of the chip would be so great on the mind that it would just have done its damage and you couldn't save a clone.
They're gone.
They're gone. And so right now Rex knows that this is just a waiting game, and it's just waiting. Like that's how it goes. So again, from last episode, there was 5 Jedi on the planet, and 4 of those Jedi have been killed, and there's 1 remaining on the planet still. And so now we flash back to the planet where the clones are tracking this Jedi, and Tarkin is kind of overseeing this whole large-scale invasion, basically, of this region on this planet. And these clones that are trying to track down this last Jedi, they're really struggling to find this Jedi and kill him, and it's just going to crap. And Tarkin is seeing how terrible they're performing out there and just getting decimated by the last Jedi that's out there. And so at this time, the Bad Batch, they're kind of on a break for the rest of the mission, because the Bad Batch is kind of sluggish also, and their team has also struggling. And so Tarkin, he's super pissed that these clones can't take care of this last Jedi. And so he's like, all right, whatever. I'm calling the Bad Batch back in to finish this mission because they're the only ones that can do it. Their vacation time is done. Well, they're not on the planet anymore. They're on the moon. So keep that in mind. And so then it transitions back to the moon with Rex and the Bad Batch. And we see that they are slowly coming out of the effects of Order 66. And so it's kind of like with Echo, he had a slow transition of confusion and discomfort because his biochip was degrading for the last 6 months because of the effects of
his torture
and being a machine basically for the Techno Union during the Clone Wars. So they are having a similar experience where their anger is dissipating because they're starting to understand. They're starting to go back into the original personality, and so there's this slow transition. And then as we kind of see this fleshed out a little bit, it goes back to the planet, and officers go up to Tarkin like, we can't find the Bad Batch. We don't know where they're at. They're not in their living quarters. They're not anywhere. We can't find them. And so then Tarkin is all right, we're going to search for them. We got to investigate, where did they go? Because he sent them on vacation basically. And so he's doing a full-fledged find them, basically. And so then it transitions back to the moon, and Rex is in his mental state is very conflicted because he's torn on how to really deal with millions of clones that need surgery. There's literally millions of clones that have been brainwashed by Order 66, and so he sees this overwhelming need, but he's just one person, and he has no plan really.
Right.
And he's like, we can't get millions of clones to lay down in a surgery chamber. Like, there's no way we can do that. And he's like, what we really need is like some small device that could do the work of a surgery chamber, but it's small, easily made, and can be mobile.
Oh, that's easy. It's called a lightsaber.
Um,
You just take a little bit off
maybe.
the top. It'll be fine.
So, but he's like, that's the only way we could get a lot of clones is these small devices. But even then, like, it would still take forever. There's millions of clones.
Yeah.
And
Just kill
so, right.
Oh, okay.
And so then, okay, so then it goes back to the planet again, and they're doing a ship inventory, and they realize that one ship is missing, and
Uh-oh.
and Tarkin is like, well, turn the tracker on. Where did the ship go? Like, where is it? And so then they are doing a search for that on the radar or whatever. And let's see, where am I? All right, so then now we get back to the moon, and Rex is talking with the Bad Batch, and they're basically all the way there, fully recovered from surgery, and they're fully wakened up now. It's been about 12 hours, and he says, like, we need your help. He's saying this to the Bad Batch. We need your help. Like we need you to somehow, like, go back undercover, back into the Empire, and maybe you can help us track some remaining Jedi that we could find ourselves, to help get the Jedi to help us somehow. But like, he doesn't really have a substantive plan. Like, he doesn't really know still doesn't know what to do. He's super
So
confused.
wait a second. So Rex so he got their chips out,
Yeah.
and he's asking them to go back in.
Yeah, because like
Oh, that's intense, man.
because he has no plan. Like, he can't do it himself, and he's like, I have no resources, but you guys are with the Empire. You guys are tracking Jedi. Like, you could find Jedi to help fight against the Empire or something like that. Because
Right.
he's like, this is like my only option. Like, you guys are the only option I have. Like, we've been waiting on this moon for 6 weeks, hoping that Echo would randomly find this Techno Union transmission that only he and the whole entire galaxy could hear. We've just been waiting.
Yeah.
And so he's like, the Bad Batch is our only hope. And then Hunter speaks up, and he's like, I don't know if we can do that. We don't really, if we go back, like, our job is to hunt and kill Jedi. Like, if we don't do that, like they're gonna know something's wrong, and they're like, we can't go undercover. But he's like, if we go with you, the Empire is gonna hunt us because we're like their main Jedi
Right.
hunters. And like, so it's like there's like no choice for them. Like, there's, no matter what they do, it's a terrible choice. So then it flashes back to Tarkin on the planet, and they've tracked the ship to the nearby moon. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna get together multiple like starships to go track them and see what's going down. They're ready for anything. They don't know if like they got taken by some Jedi or if they were going rogue or something. Like, so he's ready for anything. So he sends out like 10 ships full of clones to like find them on the moon.
Oh, dang.
Because it's Tarkin, he doesn't mess around. And
No.
so they go, and one of the clones that's with Rex. They're monitoring radar and stuff, and he's like, "We have a group of ships coming. Like they're 20 minutes until they're here. Like I got them on the radar. They're gonna be here in 20 minutes." And the Bad Batch, they're like, if they find us, like we don't have a reason to be here. Like we don't have a story on why we're on this moon that doesn't like throw you under the bus, Rex. And like he's like, the only choice we now have is to go with you, Rex. Like we have to run with you. We have to escape. And so Rex is like, all right, fine. Like you got a better ship than our ship, and you need to disable the tracker on it, and we gotta load up as many supplies as that I have on this moon, and quick load up all the information I got, all the supplies I got as quickly as possible. So I got 20 minutes. And so they're loading up boxes and crates, and they're like loading up quick, and like they only have 20 minutes, and they get in their ship right when the clone ships arrive, and they're running away, and there's like a cool like space dogfight type thing where they're trying to escape while they're getting shot at, blah blah blah. And then classic Star Wars, they escape via hyperjump. So boom. And so when that happens, the camera will return back to that medical station on that moon that they were at, in the room where the surgery chamber was. And it's like, hey, why is it showing this? And the camera zooms onto one of the tables, and on that table was left like one of Rex's iPads of all the information that he had. Yeah, whatever they call them.
You call them iPads.
iPads, tablets, data pads, whatever.
Data pads.
And so they left. They forgot one of their possessions in that room, and on that tablet is information on what Rex has discovered. And so that's the end of episode 4.
Dang, man.
So, what do you think is going to happen next?
Well, I sure as heck hope. Okay, well, there's a little bit of a hairy situation going on here, and completely separated from the fact that they're now running for their lives. But
it has nothing to do with Chewie that it's hairy.
Don't
do that. Don't encourage. Don't encourage Drew.
Where's our Babu Frick sound? Come on.
No, it's gotta be a good joke. It's gotta be a good joke for that.
Anyway, Andrew.
Well, okay, so Tarkin sent up clones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so are the clones gonna? Here's the hairy situation that I could foresee happening. If a clone finds it and reads it before it gets back to Tarkin, whichever clone or clones read that, there's going to be a frick ton of confliction within them. I guess if they believe it.
Well, the other thing they can't be conflicted on it, because remember, one of the things that they discovered,
that's fair,
that Rex discovered, was that no clone can choose to remove their chip because they can't. They don't believe that that's the issue. They believe that the Jedi betrayed the Republic, and that they're, from their point of view, the Jedi are evil, blah, blah, blah. And so they could find it, and they're just going to follow orders and just relay the information to Tarkin.
Okay, so never mind. Hairy situation avoided. Yeah, at this point, I don't know, man, because like, I guess the sky's the limit. They could go to Tatooine if they wanted to.
Ooh, they should.
Could go, I don't know, find some random Jedi and get him or her to help him. I don't know. Like, I'm just excited to see what happens.
Jeremiah, please tell me they're going to Tatooine for me.
As of right now, there are no plans to go to Tatooine in this season or the next.
My heart.
But there could be a hope for season 3. I don't know. Any other thoughts before we move on to episode 5?
Well, I have a thought. Actually, now that you say that, because speaking of about Tatooine, there's a cantina there.
Hmm. You
And
know,
if
you
I
can
was to
order at the
walk into it,
cantina.
if I was to walk into that cantina, I would hope that they had coffee on the menu from the sponsor of today's episode.
Yes,
That would
I
be
don't know about you
convenient.
guys. It, w-
that would be very convenient.
yeah, plot wise, it would be very convenient. So anyway, here's a word from the sponsor of today's video, Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that they have a subscription service that gets those amazing coffee beans delivered to your door on an either weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly basis. Unfortunately, we're all being negatively affected by this virus right now. With that being said, what a better time to try some new coffee and support a local business. I know they'll greatly appreciate it, and we will too. After all, using the code Empire Radio with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, when you start a new subscription at wesleyandrews.cc, you'll get 50% off your first purchase. I can't think of a better deal. Get 50% off, support a local Minneapolis coffee shop, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Yep.
Yep, you should do it. Just like the clones should take out their chips. It's the
Yes.
same. It's basically the same decision. Just do it.
Mhm. Or
Okay.
suffer the comfort
All
or
right.
kill people.
All right.
Oh,
Oh.
I mean,
Anyway.
coffee is to die for, but
Oh. Hey,
Oh,
hey,
on.
I thought you were
Hold
gonna
on.
do the drum thing for yourself.
hey.
I just did Babu Frick in the background.
Yep.
Do it again. Just all right.
All right.
There we go.
Anyway,
Okay, episode 5.
episode 5 is called Prototype.
Okay, you have my attention.
So, let me ask you, what was proposed by Rex in the previous episode?
That they make a device, a small device.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're gonna make a prototype of that device.
I don't know. We'll see. So, starts out with Tech approaching Rex while they're in hyperspace. And he's like, I've been thinking a lot about this device that we could develop that would remove these chips. And he's like, you know, I'm not a medical doctor, but we like a medical clone, trained clone, but like, you know, we have one with us that you removed the chip from previously. Like, so we have that clone's intel or intellect on understanding, you know, how to deal with medical issues and chip removal. He's like, but we need, you know, supplies on how to, on making some sort of device that could do this. And so, then like Hunter would say something like, well, you know, what we could do is go to the planet Braca, which, if you have played Jedi Fallen Order, is the planet that Cal Kestis is on at the beginning of the game, where its Star Destroyers are being taken apart and being repurposed and being stripped for parts. And so he's like, the Empire is just starting to bring, you know, ships to this planet to be deconstructed. They're kind of going through a trial run with this group of people to see how well they can dismantle Star Destroyers and whatnot. And so there's probably going to be, you know, supplies on this planet that could have medical equipment that was taken out of the Star Destroyers, blah blah. So we'll go to Braca. So they go to Braca, and so it's they can. You can say something, Drew?
Oh, I was gonna say, is that the planet in the beginning
Yeah,
of
where
the game that you're like trying to run through and not fall to your death like multiple times?
yeah. So that's where they're taking apart the
Oh,
ships.
cool.
So
It's
because
very wet there.
yeah,
Rains a lot.
so they were thinking this might be the easiest way for us to find like medical droids or something that could be repurposed and redesigned to do a surgery. And so they go to this planet. And so then it flashes back to Tarkin on the moon with clones, and they're swiping through the whole facility, and he's kind of like, I kind of pictured it like a ship lands and clones run off down the landing like door thing, and then Tarkin's is standing up there and with his hands behind his back and just walks down slowly, type of thing, like all like menacing. And so they're just kind of like going through the facility. So we see that, and goes back to Rex and the Bad Batch, and they're like, "All right, there's a marketplace around here that we could like a black market, like other market stuff where these people are just kind of selling random things that they've taken from the Star Destroyers and other ships that have been brought in, blah blah blah." And so the Bad Batch and the clones with Rex, they kind of break apart and kind of like spread out to try and find if they can find any medical droids or find anything really. And so they're like, all right, spread out, return back in an hour. Let's see if we can figure some stuff out. And so while they're doing this, there's a flashback, but it's of Rex months and months earlier, while he's on his own after Order 66, after he left Ahsoka when they parted ways. And so it's him, and he is by himself, and he finds a small communications outpost in the middle of nowhere where he knows that there's going to be a small group of clones at this base, little like outpost. And he's like, I can take these clones by myself. I can stun them, and he knows that there's a medical station, like medical equipment and stuff at this station. And so he's like, if I can break in, stun them, I can quick do surgery on these clones, and he has to do it all by himself because he's all on his own. And so this is how he gets those 4 other clones: is he breaks into this facility, stuns them, ties them up, puts them into surgery, and it's just him and 4 other clones, and that's how he did it. And so to that question of how did he get those other 4 clones with him, we hear this story, and this is the 5th episode into the season, so we've been kind of like wondering this whole time, like, how did he do this? And so then it flashes back to present time on the Braca, and they meet back up, and Hunter's like, all right, I found a black market dealer of medical supplies. Super convenient, I know. And so as a group, they go off to this thing. And so then it flashes back to Tarkin back on the moon, and him and the clones, they find the iPad that was accidentally left, and they see what Rex's findings are, what he's done, and how he discovered the chip and all that stuff. And so he makes an emergency call to the Emperor.
Oh.
And so, because this is like, obviously the chips are the Emperor's master plan. Like, this is his thing. And Tarkin knows all about the chips. He knows the whole story, apparently.
Oh, wow.
And so he calls the Emperor and tells him what happened. And the Emperor is like, all right, there's going to be high alert for all clones throughout the whole galaxy, and we got to watch out for their ship. Like, at any moment, if a clone finds the Bad Batch, they have any means necessary to kill or capture the Bad Batch. And that's the Emperor's commands to all the clones in the galaxy, basically. And so then it flashes back to Braca with the clones, and Rex and the Bad Batch, and so they go to this medical supply black market dealer, and they trade a bunch of their weapons and supplies that they had to get 3 medical droids that Tech and the medical trained officer would felt like they could use this to create a device that the droid itself could do the surgery, but it would be kind of modified to. I kind of pictured it as like kind of like a helmet, but like more of like a square thing where it would go around a clone's head and like latch onto its shoulders, and then it would be stable enough to do a surgery right there. And so the tech and the medical officer, they make 3 prototypes, and Rex looks at the prototypes and is all right, let's go find some clones. And that's the end of the episode.
Well,
Of course
dang.
it is. Of course it's the end.
It would be. You dirty dog.
So this was kind of like the low key middle of the season episode where, not any action, but it's just kind of like
Build up
for what's to come.
Sure. So I'm curious. The Emperor put them all on high alert. Why not send Darth Vader after him? That's the quick way.
Ooh.
You want something taken care of. You
Well,
send your boy Vader.
Well, yeah, but they don't know where they went. So the clones are throughout the whole galaxy, so they're basically surveillance for the Emperor.
That's true.
And
That's a good
so
point.
they have more widespread influence than Vader, even though he could do a lot of work on his own.
And Vader is pretty new to the world right now as Vader.
Yeah.
That's
So,
fair.
Because
And he's probably out there killing Jedi too.
Well, isn't there some books that talk about how Vader is not like kind of like a secret still, kind of? Or am I wrong?
I think he was kind of secret, kind of like the whole time, like
Yeah,
for the whole 19 years, wasn't he? Kind of like more.
Well, he was
like
he
a
was
ghost
supposed to be.
almost.
He was a ghost, but he was to keep the Emperor's identity a secret as a Sith. He was portrayed to be like a Jedi or someone who turned to be his main enforcer. So, like he was known, but very rarely, one, did he ever leave any witnesses, and then two, he was portrayed very widely as someone that worked directly with the Emperor, but was still more separated than he actually was.
Gotcha.
So
crazy.
All right, so
let's hear it. Let's hear what happens.
Episode 6, called Trial and Error.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Are you scared?
I,
What was your initial thought when you heard that?
It's one of the devices isn't going to work, and some clone's going to die.
I was gonna say your names are very kind of predictable.
All right. So anyway, they go to a region where they know that there's going to be spread out through the region. There's going to be communication outposts, just like Rex did when he took on 4 clones to save them that we saw in the flashback in the previous episode. So they're going with the same idea. Go find some outposts that are going to have few amount of clones that they could easily overtake. But by this time, the outposts are a little bit more, have a little bit few more people. And so, because the Bad Batch, they know the ins and outs of how the Empire are working. And so the Bad Batch is like, all right, we have these outposts that are spread out in this region. And when I say region, I'm like thinking like different planets in like a sector of the galaxy, not like a single planet. So,
right. I was tracking.
Okay, so they're like, but each of these outposts will have 12 clones manning these communication stations. And so they have 10. So the Bad Batch is 5, and then Rex plus 4 more. So there's 10 of them against 12 at these outposts. And they said there's 4 outposts in this region of the galaxy. And all right, well, we first got to start with 1. So their plan is to when they get there, take out long range communication so that the clones can't call for help or anything like that. Once they finish the mission, to delete surveillance that's taken at that location, and then take any ships and supplies that are on that planet and use that to trade for supplies and more medical droids and whatnot, so they could create more devices. So basically, it's twofold. It's to save the clones and also gain supplies so they could use that to trade for supplies
Sure.
that they would
Makes
need.
perfect sense.
So they get to their first outpost. They, Wrecker, he does this thing where he blows up the communication dish type thing, and they go into the outpost. They're perfect. They're the Bad Batch and they're Rex, and so they're super efficient. They know what they're doing. They stun all 12 clones, and they start hooking up these prototype medical devices to remove these chips. And so they don't know what's going to happen because obviously this is a prototype, and they're all nervous and scared. And so they are doing this, and in the process of doing these surgeries at the first outpost, 3 clones die.
Oof.
That 3 of the 12 have died, but 9 survive. And so
Wait, do we know why?
Yeah, I was gonna say, why did they die?
it's just because the settings of how do you remember in the Clone Wars during the Fives arc in season 6 when he removes his own chip, he has that little droid do the surgery while he's laying on a table?
Yeah.
And so it's like very precise surgery in a very specific location. And so if the device isn't lined up correctly on the shoulders and head, like it's going to be off by just a little bit, and to the point where it could do brain damage.
Was it like the first 3?
Not necessarily. It would just be just random. And so
okay, I got you.
Because they could put it correctly on the first few clones, and then the next time when they try it on the next clone, they didn't set it up right on the
sure
or something like that. So they do this, and so they're heartbroken that 3 have died. And then the 9 that survive wake up basically, and they're going to see that 3 of their friends have just been killed, and they don't know what's going on, because they haven't woken up yet, because it takes at this point 12 hours for them to come to their senses. And so this is a super tense, emotional time, because they don't know no one knows what's going on. They don't know how to deal with it, blah, blah, blah. And so they take the 9 survivors, and they load up the ships. They take steel ships and roll up supplies, and they take off. And then Tech and the medical officer, we got to fix this. How can we make these devices more efficient? How we can more likely set it up right on the head and the shoulders so that there's not this problem again. And so they look at they studied the issues with the 3 that died, and okay, this is what's wrong. It was kind of, this angle is off here. We can adjust this angle on the device, And so they tweak those machines or those devices, and all right, we got to go to the next outpost. What's the next one? And so they go to the next one, and same thing, take out long range communications, delete surveillance, blah, blah, blah. And they do this, and just like the first one, they were flawless in how they took out all the 12 clones there. They stunned them all, and when they did this, 2 clones die. And so slightly better, but not where they want to be. They want to be perfect every time. So now at this point, the original 10, they have now gained 19 survivors. And so and now there are 2 outposts left in this region. So they think, okay, we took out two outposts, and one outpost going out, might not mean much to the powers that be in the Empire, like an outpost went out, well, we'll fix it. But now there's 2 that are out in the same region, and so that might be a little suspicious. And so they figured if they just go to the next outpost, the 3rd one, and they take that one out, then they're fairly confident that the Empire will be waiting at the 4th. And so,
sure, yeah, that makes sense.
And so their plan is, well, we have 29 clones now that can do it. So we're gonna hit the last 2 outposts at the same time.
Oh,
because they can't risk going to the 4th one after the 3rd one, because obviously there's a higher risk that the Empire will be waiting for them.
right.
And so now at this point, no one knows why these first 2 outposts have been taken out. Like, they don't know what the issues are. And so now I should mention that this region is not far from like the Techno Union planets were. And so this whole region of that galaxy is kind of where Tarkin is kind of in charge, in a sense. And so this is like his region of the galaxy that he's leading clones to find Jedi and doing the work of the Empire type of thing. And so that does have that as a little note as you're listening to this episode. And so the clones, they have 29 now, like I said, and so they split up. So they time it perfectly, like in the movies, they sync up their watches on their wrist to make sure they're all on the same time. And they split up, and they had the same plan: take out long range communications first, so they can't call for help, delete surveillance, and then do the surgeries and take ships and supplies, blah blah blah. They do this, and luckily both locations went perfectly. No clones died when they did the surgery. And so,
well, that's good.
They gained they fixed the devices perfectly. They now have full trust that the angles that they have with the machine and how it connects to the clones' bodies, they know how it's done, where it's going to be perfect, or at least that's what they think. And so now with these additional 24, they now have a total of 53 clones that have been saved from the chip.
Wow.
And so now they're excited. Like, just in a matter of a few days, it went from Rex and 4 clones to 53. And so
and then once they take them out, are they just like with them essentially?
Yeah, because they see how they were brainwashed and used and betrayed by the what they thought was the Republic, but is now the Empire. And so it's kind of like how Rex was when he woke up. Like, he immediately understood what happened. And so they're all like angry, and they all are like, yeah, we need to save our brothers. Like, we're in this. Like, this is the war that we're choosing now, is to go save our brothers. And even though there's millions of them out there, they're willing to fight for that.
Gotcha.
And so like I said, they now have 53 clones that have been saved, and they're confident in what they're doing and what they can do to save clones. And so because they have 53, they start talking like, we need to find a larger target with a lot more clones that we could attack, that would have a better payoff than just 12, have a lot more supplies and a lot more ships. So they're like thinking, all right, we're in a major region of the galaxy where there's bases and whatnot all throughout, because the Empire, they're doing their thing where they're taking over systems and planets and all that stuff. And so they're like, all right, we got to find our next target, a large target that we can save a large amount of clones.
Stay on target.
Yep. And so then it flashes to Tarkin, and he's made aware that in his region, 4 outposts have been taken out, and
Converted.
when investigated, all the clones are gone. Like, they're just missing. and he doesn't know why. Like, he hasn't yet made the conclusion that this is the Bad Batch. Like, he thinks maybe it
Gotcha.
could be, but like he doesn't know. Like, it just could be civilians in the galaxy that are mad at the Empire and they're just rebelling and they're just taking out outposts. Like, he doesn't know, but he is thinking like, all right, they're taking out 4 outposts, and in this region there's only like 2 targets that are nearby that are large enough that would mean anything. And so he's anticipating this, he's thinking, so he's kind of like sitting at his desk thinking, and that's how the episode ends.
Wait, what? So we don't know where they're going?
Yeah, that's next episode.
Boo.
Hey,
Boo.
it's the season finale next week. It's big, dude.
Boo.
I have like let's see. So all my episodes, the first 6 episodes that I've written, it took up, let's see, like less than 3 pages of notes. And for the final episode, I have like 2 pages plus the dialogue that I have that ends the episode. And so there's a lot of details.
So you took notes on your own episodes, Jeremiah?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading off of. I'm reading.
I didn't know if you were like.
I'm not just making it up as I'm.
No, I know that, but I didn't know if you're summarizing like how long is every episode like on a written scale, so like our listeners can understand.
Well, I just have like bullet points of just all these points that I've been saying are just bullet points that I've written down, and so these are just overall like simple plot points.
They seem like they would be like 35 minute episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of thinking more like a Netflix link, so like 45 to 50 minutes.
Oh yeah,
because if you have like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau on my team and they're adding in details and Easter eggs and dialogue, like these conversations are gonna go for 5 minutes, not 30 seconds.
That's
like
fair.
So
that's fair.
Well,
so
sweet.
what do you think's gonna happen?
I don't know.
They're probably all gonna die.
That could be, yeah.
I mean,
would you be mad if they all die next episode?
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting that you're already writing season 2, but season 2 is just about Rex, I guess.
Could be.
No, he doesn't die.
We find out that the Bad Batch is just a mantle that is passed on from generation to generation.
That's a good idea.
It's not a person, it's an idea, and you can't kill ideas. You know what I'm saying? Anyways,
it's like the Force. It's not.
No, I feel like the Death Star could be involved. Maybe.
Or Vader. Maybe we do get to see Vader.
I think bringing in Vader, and of course they can't defeat Vader, but like having them
interact in some way.
Well, I was gonna say almost match him and then get away. Would be really cool. It would be a really cool way to end the season.
That would be cool. I feel like matching's pretty intense. But
yeah, I mean, because like they're the Bad Batch, they could figure out how to counteract his force abilities and stuff. Plus, with it only being about 6 months in, I'm sure Vader is still, to whatever extent, getting used to his suit as well.
Yeah.
True.
So I don't know if he's at his height, the height of his power quite yet. So I don't know. Maybe they can take advantage of that. But Jeremiah mentioned there are 2 places, 2 targets. I mean, and again, the target is first and foremost clones and not materials and supplies. So like,
well,
I don't know.
They're looking for a larger target because it'd be a larger path, so it'd be a lot more clones that they could save, but it'd be a lot more supplies as well.
Okay, so maybe not the Death Star right away, but I don't know, maybe Camino? I don't know where this is really taking place in the galaxy, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but Maybe it's Tatooine, Drew.
Oh,
Maybe
I
they
don't
need
think
to go.
Jeremiah would let me live my favorite thing.
Yeah, like they need to go ransack Mos Eisley.
Mm.
I don't know.
But Jeremiah already said that Tatooine is not gonna
I know,
be
I'm
in
joking.
the next
I
season.
maybe I just said that so when I do bring it in, it comes out of nowhere.
True. You are pretty sneaky. I guess we'll have to find out next week.
Yep.
Dang. Well, next week, for those of you that are listening right now, next week is entirely dedicated to the season finale. So you're going to want to be here. You're not going to want to miss it. And I promise you, well, I can't promise you because I don't know what's going to happen, but Jeremiah can promise you that it's worth it.
Yeah,
that's true.
But what did you guys think? What did you guys, the listeners, think of episodes 4 through 6 of Jeremiah's Bad Batch?
Or
fan
1
fiction?
through 6.
Or
Yeah.
I mean the first 6 episodes at this point.
Yeah.
How do you like the story? Where do you think it's going to go? Well, if you're sitting here thinking and you're going, well, I have thoughts, but I don't know what to do with them. Well, you can direct those thoughts to one of 3 locations. The first 2 are our social medias. And Drew, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, so they can find us on Instagram and good old Facebook, loyal Facebook. That's Empire Radio Podcast, and I believe that's on both. So
Yep.
you can just go over there. They are linked together too, so should be able to kind of jump back and forth a little bit. But yeah, we see both of them. We love a comment or any suggestions that you would love. Also, there's also links right under where you're listening to this to leave a voicemail. So if you click the link for the voicemail, you can leave us a really nice voicemail, and we would love to listen to it. And if we like it, we'll put it on the show for the other fans to listen to as well. So go check all those links out below. Anything else?
So like Drew said, your 3 options are Facebook, Instagram, and the voicemail link below. Again, those 2 social media links are Empire Radio Podcast, and it's not just limited to voice messages. If you guys send us a really good message, who knows?
Yes.
Before we get into the thick of the season finale, we might even read it to see if you're correct. And if you're correct, we will send you our love and support.
Well, and we have read off some positive, encouraging messages before in the past, so we love to do that again.
Yeah, but you should definitely be here for the season finale of the first of, I guess, 2, from what we're hearing, seasons of Jeremiah's fan fiction.
Well, there will for sure be
3
seasons.
Oh boy.
I know how I want the second season to go. I've already written the first 2 episodes, but it's a lot harder for me to get to episode because it's like continuity issues. So
Right.
so it's very meticulous, thoughtful stuff. So it's going to take me quite a while to get second season done, and third season is probably going to take me like 4 years to write. But we'll get there.
All right. Well, stay tuned, because regardless, we're going to keep having Star Wars content coming at you every week. And when those happen, we'll be here for those as well. So anyways, everyone, this has been another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And may the Force be with you
always.